up guys, George here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be looking at the iPhone XS Max in 2021. We're approaching 2022 in 6 months, but I'm going to put it out now. And I want to see, is it worth it? Should you buy it? Let's go. The XS Max came out with the A12 chip in 2018, making it 3 years old. So you may wonder, is this phone worth it, or should you search elsewhere? Well, it depends, because this phone came out in 2018, like I said. It's got 4 gigs of RAM. It shipped with iOS 14, or no, not iOS 14, iOS 12. It is currently on iOS 14, and it is getting iOS 15. So what are some positives about this phone? Well, the display, it's really, really nice. It's amazing. I don't know if you can catch it on camera here, but the display, it's wonderful. It's got a screen resolution of 1242 by 2688, which it's just under 1440p, and it weighs 208 grams. I don't have any issues with this phone being too heavy. It's honestly a good weight. The only negatives I'd say is maybe the back. It gets all like full of fingerprints. That's a pretty significant negative about this phone. Let's see what else. The battery life, it is mixed. Depending on what you're doing on this device, the battery can either be mediocre or it cannot be very good. So if you're playing games or if you're like just browsing the web, the battery life will be alright, not great. But if you're just an average day guy, the battery life is honestly not bad. It's better than like an iPhone 6s, 7, 10, anything like that. But if you're looking for a good phone with good battery life, I would recommend an 11 Pro, 12 Pro, 11, 12, any of those phones. But if you're looking for a phone like soon, I would wait until the 13 models or 12s, whatever they decide to call them. Wait until they come out, like in like 3-4 weeks. The camera, it's okay. It's not terrible. This is the first phone with the extended dynamic range. So like it had better range than the 10, 8, 7, and it has a pretty good camera still. The only negatives I'd say is it's missing the front-facing 4K video, and 12 megapixel camera. It's not terrible, but it's still pretty good. Like the front-facing camera is all right, but the other more recent phones will like crush it, I guess. It also has Bluetooth 5, which it's pretty standard across the board. Nothing wrong with that. It's quite good. XS Max came with either 64, 256, or 512 gigabytes of storage. And you know what? If you're looking for this phone, 64 gigabytes is definitely not enough storage. For me, I use 64 gigs and it just doesn't feel like enough space. I'm always having to delete stuff and save it to my computer, upload to the cloud, whatnot. And yeah, I would go for 256 if you can get this. Or I would look for another phone like an 11 or like a 12 in the next couple weeks. But this phone's in a tough position because it has really good display. It's like quite nice compared to the 11s, and the 12 has maybe a similar display. I think it's about the same. But if you're looking for this, you got to get it on a good deal, because the phone, it's hard to recommend right now. You're in a tough position. You don't have the best cameras, you don't have the best battery life. It's not the fastest anymore, but it can still somewhat compete with the newer phones. Like they're not that much faster in what I've seen. But yeah, the main reason why I would say no to this phone is that it's 3 years old, making it a little more uncertain in the future. But the positive is that it should at least get like 3 more years probably of support, maybe 4 depending on how long they support these phones, which it's not too bad for a 3-year-old device. I'm not a huge fan of the battery life because after seeing the 12s, 11s, and Pro versions, they're way better in battery life. So if I would recommend this phone, I would say no, because you can get a much better device for maybe an extra $100 right now before the 13 comes out. It's falling around $400 to $600, which that's too expensive for a phone that's 3 years old. This phone lacks MagSafe charging, which it's not a huge issue, but it could be a deal breaker if you really care about that. It lacks a third lens camera on the back, which I honestly wish it had a better camera. The new phones have an ultra wide camera, which this one does not. Some issues I've noticed with this is maybe the cell service. Sometimes it's dropping calls. Like, I don't know if that's my carrier, but I've noticed a little bit weaker service and like more dropped calls on this phone than say an 8 Plus or a 7 or a 6. But yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment. What phone do you have? What phone do you want? And yeah, subscribe. Thank you.